You're sitting at your kitchen table with a laptop open and a half-eaten sandwich next to you. You've finally done it. You've made a budget. You've got a spreadsheet with color-coded rows for rent, groceries, your car payment, and even a little sliver for fun. You look at the bottom line and it says you should have exactly $642 left over at the end of the month. You feel like a financial genius. You feel like you've cracked the code. But then, 2 weeks later, your check engine light comes on, or your best friend announces a bachelor party in Vegas, or your dog decides to eat a sock and needs a $400 x-ray. Suddenly, that $642 of extra money is gone, plus another $300 you didn't have. You stare at your credit card balance and feel that familiar, unsinking sense of defeat. You think to yourself, I'm just bad at budgeting, or I just don't make enough money. You close the spreadsheet and don't look at it again for 6 months. My name is Sam, and I spend too much time thinking about why your financial plans keep hitting a brick wall. If you're tired of feeling like you're doing everything right but still getting nowhere, hit that subscribe button. We don't do perfect world finance here. We talk about the messy, expensive reality of your actual life. Here's the thing you need to understand right away. You didn't fail your budget. Your budget failed you because it was built on a lie. Most people make the exact same mistake. They budget for a perfect month. They budget for a month where nothing breaks, no one gets sick, and no one invites them to a wedding. But here's the reality. The perfect month does not exist. It is a mathematical myth. Planning your financial life around a perfect month is like planning a cross-country road trip by only looking at the flat parts of the map. You're going to hit mountains, you're going to hit traffic, and you're definitely going to run out of gas if you don't account for the uphill climbs. The setup for this disaster is something I call the average month fallacy. We look at our recurring bills, the stuff that hits every 30 days, and we think that's our cost of living. But your cost of living isn't just your rent and your Netflix sub. It's also the tires you have to buy every 3 years. It's the $500 you spend every December on gifts. It's the annual vet visit that always costs more than you expected. When you ignore these lumpy expenses, you aren't budgeting. You're just guessing, and you're guessing low. Let's look at some real math, because numbers are the only things that will tell you the truth when your brain is trying to justify a shopping spree. Imagine you take home $4,000 a month. Your perfect month expenses, rent, food, gas, utilities, total up to $3,000. You think you have $1,000 of breathing room, but let's look at the stealth expenses over a year. Your car insurance is $1,200 a year. Your Amazon Prime and other annual subs are $300. You spend about $1,000 on travel and holidays. You have one minor home or car repair that costs $500, and you spend maybe $500 a year on gifts for birthdays and weddings. That's $3,500 a year in surprise costs. When you divide that by 12, it's almost $300 a month. So your breathing room isn't $1,000, it's $700. If you spend that $1,000 thinking you're safe, you are actually going $300 into the hole every single month without realizing it. The psychology of why we do this is actually pretty simple. Our brains are hardwired to prioritize the now over the later. When you see that extra $1,000 in your checking account on the 10th of the month, your brain gets a hit of dopamine. It wants to spend that money to make you feel good right now. It conveniently forgets that your car registration is due in 60 days because that's a future problem. We treat our future selves like strangers we don't really like. We're essentially stealing from the you of 3 months from now to pay for the you of today. It feels like wealth in the moment, but it's actually just a high-interest loan you're taking out against your own sanity. Look, here is another truth that's going to hurt a little bit. Your fun money isn't usually the reason your budget fails. People love to talk about the $5 lattes or the avocado toast. But those aren't the things that keep you paycheck to paycheck. It's the big, untracked, fixed costs. Let's run a second math example. Let's say you're deciding between 2 apartments. One is $2,000 a month and the other is $2,300. You think, it's only $300. I can swing that. But that $300 represents 75% of your total safety margin for those stealth expenses we just talked about. By picking the more expensive place, you haven't just lost $300. You've lost your ability to handle a blown tire or a broken phone without using a credit card. You've traded your financial peace for a slightly nicer countertop. Most people are house poor or car poor long before they are latte poor. Now, here is the counterintuitive twist that catches everyone off guard. Having an emergency fund can actually be a trap if you use it for the wrong things. Most people think their emergency fund is there to cover unexpected expenses. But here's the thing. Christmas isn't an emergency. Your car needing oil isn't an emergency. Your best friend getting married isn't an emergency. These are all predictable events. When you use your emergency fund to pay for things that you should have seen coming, you're not actually solving the problem. You're just using a Band-Aid to cover a leaking pipe. An emergency fund is for a job loss or a medical catastrophe. If you're dipping into it every 3 months for surprises, it means your budget is broken at a fundamental level. You aren't having emergencies, you're just having unbudgeted reality. So, what should you actually do to fix this? You need to implement the 1/12th rule, and you need to start today. I want you to go back through your credit card and bank statements for the last 12 months. Don't look at what you spent this month, look at the whole year. You got to total up every single thing that isn't a regular monthly bill. Every gift, every repair, every annual subscription, every vacation, every vet bill. Take that total number and divide it by 12. That is your true monthly cost. If that number is $400, then your new fixed cost is $400 higher than you thought it was. You need to open a separate savings account, I call it a sinking fund, and you need to set up an automatic transfer for that amount every single month. This money is not yours. It's already spent. You're just waiting for the bill to arrive. When the car insurance bill hits or the holiday season rolls around, you don't panic. You just transfer the money from your sinking fund back to your checking account. You've effectively turned a lumpy life into a flat, predictable line. This takes away the dopamine trap because that money never sits in your checking account looking like extra cash. It's gone before you can get attached to it. And here's the best part. When you actually do go on that vacation or buy those gifts, there's no guilt. You aren't wondering if you can afford it. You know you can because you've been paying for it in small increments for the last 6 months. You've turned a stressful event into a prepaid experience. Look, budgeting isn't about restriction. It's not about being a miser who never has any fun. It's about clarity. It's about looking at the map of your life and actually acknowledging the mountains instead of pretending they don't exist. The smartest person in the room isn't the one with the most complicated spreadsheet. It's the one who is the most honest about how much their life actually costs. Stop budgeting for the person you wish you were in a world that doesn't exist. Start budgeting for the messy, unpredictable, expensive person you actually are. The perfect month is a lie that keeps you broke, so start planning for the disaster instead.